Good morning, everybody. This is Ramon. I got my coffee. I know you got a lot of stuff going on today, but I want to invite you to come and chill with us. So today, you got a lot of busyness. You got a lot of busy things going on in your schedule. But first, coffee. Good morning, everybody out there in Facebook land, YouTube, and on HPTV. I'm Ramon, president of Heritage Park Productions, artist, entrepreneur, yada, yada, family man, all that good stuff. And you're watching us on Tuesday morning, and it's a great show. Inviting you guys to watch it with us. Hey, if you're watching me on social media, if you're watching me on YouTube right now, do me a favor and hit this button right here and then click that subscribe button. That'll be awesome. It'll help us out, get to more people. But today, what is Get But First Coffee? It's just a show. I get to hang out with some of the people that inspire me the best, inspire me the most, and have just interesting conversation and coffee with them. And today I'm very excited, man, because we have a really, really awesome guest today. He's been my friend for several years. He's my brother. He is an incredible. He's built an incredible coach business. He's built a coaching business. He's also the writer and author of this awesome book, Church Boy to Millionaire. I highly recommend you get it. And all the people that I bought this book for and you haven't read it, give it back to me so I can give it to somebody who will read it. Anyways, without further ado, my friend, my brother, Mr. Doug Wood. Doug, how are you doing today?
What's up, bro? I'm really well today, actually. But it's good to be here, man. I've been looking forward to coming on and being a guest here for a long time. And it's finally time that I got the invite. And I was wondering when my invite was coming. So I'm happy that it's finally here.
It's so hilarious because I would literally at times be thinking to myself, how come I haven't invited Doug to anything yet? And then it was like, when I did your show this summer, I was like, man, I got to get him on my show now. I had to. So I was in the same boat. I'm in the same boat.
I was wondering because I watch your show every single Tuesday. And I'm like, we text all the time. We email all the time, but okay, maybe I got to earn my spot. I don't know.
I know you're there. Doug, for people who don't know, where are you at right now physically?
I live here I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay, cool. And you've been there how long now?
I moved here in the summer of 14, so
nice.
Up on 6 years.
Nice. You have your coffee with you? What's on your mug? What does your mug say?
Always have coffee with me, but living life with intention. And you can tell I've been intentional because it's starting to get all scuffed up.
Yeah.
But that's a coffee mug of choice today.
My coffee's been different. Mine, I had to clean it because I haven't used this one a lot. And it just basically says courage. And then it has scripture, Deuteronomy 31:6 on there. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So awesome.
I love it, man. That's awesome.
So you've done so much stuff, and what people don't know, who don't know you, we have. I'm sorry.
We will never leave you nor forsake.
We have several friends that we have the same group of friends. However, I will say that it's just not sharing on my Facebook page like I want to. We have the same group of friends, but for people who don't know you, like you've done so much. I talked about your book, your business. We went on tour last year to just encourage. 2 years ago, actually. Wow, 2 years ago to encourage people. If you could sum your world up into one thesis, if you could sum your world up into one purpose, what would that be?
Serving others.
Yeah.
And why? And I need to explain that, Ro, because it's a little bit selfish. Because I realize that there comes a point in our lives where you realize you become so self-actualized and you actually realize what helps you be your best. And really, it's very clear for me, when I am in service to others, I'm less focused on myself. Therefore, I'm not in my head. I'm not distracting myself. I'm not getting depressed. I'm not obsessing about things that I can't do. When I am at my best, I'm in service to others. And so therefore, I find myself having to go out of my way to make sure that saying yes more often to others, it doesn't mean you're not saying yes to yourself. Just saying yes to others helps me to be the best for me as well.
When you say like focusing on others and doing that part, how complicated does it get at that point to not be selfish when let's say things are going on in your life that are a struggle, that are a battle? How complicated is it? And is there ever a line that you draw to say, you know, I'll put others on the back burner right now, I'm gonna focus on me? Or does it kind of like have a ripple effect where if I'm helping people, it will cause a ripple effect that will heal me in the process?
I think a little bit of both. Well, I know so for a little bit of both. You know, T and I were sitting here early this morning, having coffee. And, you know, that's part of me that's living life with intention. And when you live an intentional life, you are 100% focused on doing everything that you can with excellence. And for me, that's getting up first thing in the morning, having coffee with my wife. Now I'm blessed that we happen to get up and she wants to get up and at the same time. And then we often go to the gym together. It wasn't always like that. It didn't start until actually this past year that we started getting up at the same time. So that took us 19 years in marriage before we started firing all cylinders in the mornings. But if I'm gonna be intentional in my marriage, I'm gonna be intentional in my relationships, I'm gonna be intentional at being a dad, if I'm gonna be intentional at being a podcaster, I have to just zero in and put the focus on that. And that comes with time. And so and that also comes with being self-disciplined. So we're getting ready to prepare. I've got 230 people coming into Arizona today and tomorrow. We're heading up to the mountains up in Prescott, and I'm doing a retreat for our school. I own an online Christian school, Valor Global Online, and it's the most unique school you'll ever experience and be a part, because it's not online school. We were doing online distance learning before it was cool. I saw the need for it 2 years ago, but I wanted to create a school where it's for families to come together online. You get a real classroom experience, except we're going to be online, but we're going to create opportunities for the community to come together a few times a year. So we're heading up to Prescott this week, and you and I have spent some days in Prescott. So I'm going to camps up there. Yeah, and the name of our camp row is Unstoppable. Being unstoppable in your faith, unstoppable in your purpose, unstoppable in your friendships, and unstoppable in your execution. That's the theme of the camp. Mm-hmm. And part of living life with intention and being an unstoppable father, an unstoppable entrepreneur, or whatever each and every one of sometimes are the things that we do are, it's very important that you have self-discipline and that you make sure you got to get you right first before you can be unstoppable in these other areas, because there's, you know, it's practically biblical. There's no place to sacrifice what's going on in here, in the heart or in the head or at home to be able to try to win online. Because you know what? We all know there's a lot of people filtering what's really going on to look good online, but it ain't that pretty offline.
No, it's not. It's not. The school, Valor Global Online is an amazing school. And some of the things I remember, I actually was on a call once with some of the people, the administration for that school. And one thing I really appreciated was I sat there and I thought to myself, some of the things that they teach at Valor Global Online, people, we don't know as adults. Like, there's things that they teach on that school that not everybody knows. So I encourage you, if you're looking for a new option for your children, check out Valor. Hey, Doug, I got another question for you, man. So I didn't even think about the school till you mentioned it. You got the school, you got your business, you have your hands in so many different projects. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really, really appreciate you, because you're a very busy person. There's people who have, I guess it's fear, that they say that you shouldn't have your hands in too many things, because you'll get lost in it, or one will fall. Speak to that real quick. How do you manage balancing all your different projects and everything going on?
Well, there's no saying, Ro, you know, how many rabbits can you chase? And if you chase them all, you can't catch one. There's part of that's true. And that's, I think, really where your self-discipline does come in. But one thing that T and I we got laser focused on 10 years ago and we looked at our life at the place we were in 10 years ago. And we said, well, we can't control a lot what's going on around us. And that's still true today. There's a lot of crazy crap going on right now in the world. It's a very unsettled time, but what can we control? And T and I looked within and we said, we can control our health and what we put in our mouth. And we can also control cleaning up our finances. And so we became laser focused at that, became the common goal between us, but that also became everything that we did. It had to do with, for like us, getting out of debt and focusing on our health. If something came at the sacrifice of continuing to keep us repeating the same year over and over again, either our health or in our finances, we were not moving closer to accomplishing this goal. We're like, well, that might sound fun. That sounds like a great opportunity. That might make me look good on Instagram or Facebook, but is it really serving what's most important to us right now? Because that is living with intention. And so we put focus on an area that season added health to our life and added finances to our life so we could decrease debt and hopefully increase income so we could live a more purposeful and quality of life, because there is extreme wisdom in having multiple streams of income. And I think it's great to have multiple streams of impact and just let that sink in right there. Multiple streams of impact. And when you get clear, it took me till I was 36 years old. That's only 6 years ago for me. 6 years ago until I got clear on my purpose. And I am for people. I'm for serving mankind. I'm for families becoming whole. I'm for dads living with purpose and living their best life. I'm for people advancing their life, advancing their walk with God, advancing their income. So once I figured out who am I for, well, I'm going to have multiple streams. I mean, this is a good example to my life right here. This is, here's everything who I am. Okay. I mean, for example, I'll just read this off. Church Boy to Millionaire, bookstores, Aradea, a lake house. What does a lake house have to do with serving all streams? I know a lake house provides an opportunity for couples to come together. And we have these amazing retreats to help marriages thrive, group retreats, conferences. So I've got all these different streams. Here's who I'm for. Here's all the streams of how it all funnels. It all funnels the same thing. And so, but it does take extreme intention. For example, a day to day, like I'm here on live with you this morning. I've been preparing for my talks this weekend at my retreat. Over the next 2 to 3 hours, I will go back into mad preparation for my talks at this retreat. This afternoon, I have a couple of very important Zoom calls where I'm coaching some great people, to their best life. And so I'm just doing everything with excellence. And then later this afternoon, I'll be picking up my boy Phoenix from school, and we'll be swimming and spending some time in the pool for an hour. So I'm going to be an on-purpose dad. And so it's just, and then there's times that you need to schedule once in a while, Netflix and chill. Like, you just got to schedule it. Otherwise, what happens is we're sitting there watching Netflix too much or too little. Well, I think it could always be too little, but too much. And there's other times that, no, I'm scheduling me some me time, as Terrell Owens would say, me some me. I'm going to schedule me some me, and I'm going to not sit here watching Netflix feeling guilty because I've been intentional in these other parts of my day. So tonight, if I want to sit back and watch the Tiger documentary or something, and usually it's educational for me because I want to learn through if I'm going to just sit back and chill. It's so important because you don't then feel guilt like I'm not doing one thing well because you're always chasing these rabbits. So commit to what's most important in this season. And usually it's making sure you're taking care of you. And I think you can give in a lot of different avenues and also receive back and have all those different avenues pay you. And one last thing on that, Ro, is not every avenue has to pay you financially. Sometimes they pay you spiritually. Sometimes they pay you through an act of service. Sometimes they do pay you financially. But if people like watching right now don't have a certain order, their life in order, food, clothing, shelter, sometimes the basics, it's like, well, sometimes we've got to stop pursuing this identity that is not serving us, or it's serving our identity in the way it makes it feel, but it's not bringing in income. Well, we got to take care of what's most important, and then knowing that, yes, that we'll always make time for things or acts of service that are feel good too.
Awesome. That's great, man. That one of our followers said that looked like a vision board, but it's more than a vision board. That's an identity board, I would call that. Yeah.
There's a lot of it, and you didn't even see page 2. I mean, this is just this gets nutty. I mean, I got goals out here, maintain performance, incentive results. I've got a $30,000 boutique. I've got income goals here. But everything, it's important though that once you get well, I'll go this way in the camera. Once you get where we want to go here and written out, again, and this is short term, then kind of long term, and then really long term, everything must feed the main thing. Okay. Otherwise we got all these pie in the sky goals and much to my sign behind me, people want to be successful, but you know what? It's going to take hard work, persistence, late nights, rejection, sacrifices, discipline, criticism, doubts, failures, risks, and focus, clarity, and focus on what's most important right now.
Man, that's good stuff, man. Speaking of all that work, I haven't been with you physically for a lot of the process. But I got to see you kind of process through this.
Yeah.
The Church Boy to Millionaire. And if you have not gotten this book, it's available on Amazon and it's available in Spanish, correct? That's right.
Yeah, check this bad boy out. They just showed up. Pastor Howard Brosman from Alabama. He translated Church Boy to Millionaire in Espanol. And I can't read it because I don't speak it. But it's fully translated. And it's in softback in Spanish. It just got online today at kickfearintheface.com. It got online yesterday. It'll be on Amazon in probably a week or so. And it's coming out on Audible in Spanish too. But the whole book's available now in Spanish. And it's already reading. This is cool, Ro. The book's already down in some prisons down in Mexico. So guys that are connected to some prisons down there, they already came over and picked up a bunch of books, bought some. And they've already got them inside the walls of some prisons down there. So this is pretty cool.
Awesome. Talk to me through the process of writing this book. Because I was reminded, I started reading another book this week. I'm trying to read a book a month. And the book that I picked this month was Lies We Tell Ourselves About God, written by Paul, the guy who wrote The Shack. And he, in his intro, he has a lot of similarities to the reasons why you wrote your book. He started writing to give something to his kids, the story to his kids, for different reasons as you, because his story was he didn't have money, so he decided I'll write a story for my kids. But talk to me through the process, because I know it was an interesting process you had in writing this book. What was the process for you like, and where did the book come from?
Yeah, well, most people sitting here watching this right now or watching this on replay are thinking, man, I don't know if I could ever write a book. I don't have that much to say. First of all, that is the first complete lie that we tell ourselves. Your life experience that has gotten you to where you are right now, it doesn't matter if you're where you want to be. I'm not where I want to be. But I started writing this book in my head through my life experiences and stories many years ago. And Ro, the interesting thing, I don't know if it's that interesting or not, was I got to a point to where something's burning so much inside of you. And I think that's a very good place to be. When you are so fed up either with your own life or feel like there's got to be more parts to the story and people aren't talking about what's really going on, both in their own life or around them, or where you really reach a place where you call BS on the things you've been told. And it's like, no. So what I did, I went on a search the last few years of finding books that didn't have Instagram filters on them, didn't have, their face all doctored up in less ways. I went on a search looking for people speaking that would talk more about their struggles day to day and less about how amazing that they're doing week to week. Because what happens is when you start, you get on, you start to scroll, and first of all, guys, just in this season that we're in, stop the scroll. Okay. It's the biggest time waster, time sucker when you're just mindlessly scrolling
Yeah.
Because we start to go, man, look how good Roe has it. And look how good Doug has it in my life. And what happens is I believe scrolling leads to depression or is a root of causing depression because we go into comparison and we don't know how to get out of it. It's like a drug. Okay. Because in fact, I was laughing years ago. Tia's mom texted Tia. She's like, when does this thing end? And Tia responds like, when does what end? She was brand new to Facebook. She goes, I keep scrolling and like, I'm trying to get to the bottom. And she's like, oh, Mom, this thing don't end. It keeps refreshing. And like, there's more and more and more. They'll just show you more and more and more. You can never get out of it. It's like an endless trap. But all that to say, I got fed up in Christmas time of 2018, exactly 2 years ago, just a hair over 2 years ago. I got fed up. And I'm like, nobody's talking about what I feel like I've lived. And, eventually you start thinking you're crazy because nobody's talking about, they're talking either, everyone's complaining or the people that you respect. And I'm not knocking the people I respect aren't talking about the day-to-day grind, the struggles, the ups and the downs, the challenges of marriage and parenting and questioning things, because we were all raised in, don't question it. And it seems like we're heading back into that season again right now, Ro. It's like, don't question it. You got to delete it if anyone thinks it might not be real. Yeah. So I got to a place where I'm like, I want to read a book for the people out there. Like I want to write a book for the people out there like me. So I wrote a book, and even though I can't read this one, but it'll make sense. I wanted a book because I'm a picture guy. And so I challenged the status quo of book writing. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm going to write a book for the Dougs out there that hasn't read a book since high school. And the Dougs out there that hasn't read a book since high school likes to see pictures. I need to see big words. I don't read a book cover to cover. So I wrote 25 independent chapters of independent topics. So you don't have to read it cover to cover. I'm like, I want someone to be able to start at chapter 13 and be able to start there and go, wow, that sounds interesting. Or on the other side, have a quote there that's just like, bam, that kind of hits you. Like, it's almost like a pooping book, right? It's like this thing could sit in the bathroom and you could open it anywhere. And either there's something to look at that I'm talking about my personal life experiences, or there's a quote right on at the top that's just like, man, that's something to marinate on today. And even when I was writing the book, the publishing company, I didn't have it, I self-published, but the people we used, they sent it back and they're like, does this author know it's not going to sell? We've never done a book like this. I have emojis in my book. Because guess what? That's how I talk on Facebook. I use emojis in text. I'm like, why aren't there no books with emojis in it? Well, that's not the way books are written. Says who? Who is writing these rules? It's 2021. Who's writing the rules? And you know what? Rules are meant to be challenged and bent, especially if they don't make sense, or they were written for a time of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago that served that season, bro. So no, we're in a season where I'm like, I'm going to write my book. And dude, I was within 400 books of being a Wall Street Journal bestseller on the opening week. Now, this book has sold over 15,000 copies in 1 year.
Wow.
15,000. Most books that get written sell less than 2,000 copies in their lifetime. Wow. Mine did 15,000 in 1 year because I was willing to write my story. I was willing to talk about my addictions, my struggles, my not struggles that I got through, my struggles that I'm still going through, that I'm still figuring out, because that's what people want the answers to. So that's what it got to a place where I'm like, you know what? I'm calling BS on this. And also, I wish somebody would have written this for me 5 or 10 years ago. So I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. When I read the book, and I've read it, the first time I read it cover to cover when I wrote the song for you. And then after that, I read it. I think I read it again one more time cover to cover. And I've learned that in reading the book, like you said, it was several different lessons that you learned in the process of where you were at today. And then one of the things I realized was each lesson was like a stepping stone to another lesson.
Right.
What was one of the most valuable ones that you've learned? Because there's some, like, I keep having the mental image of you on the red carpet in your office, on that red carpet, and then I have the mental image of the outfit your mom had you wear with the shorts and the shirt. I love that story. I love that. But what is one of the most valuable lessons that you feel like you've learned? Because I don't know if there's one that stands out more than anything, but because they seem to all kind of intrinsically go together.
No, it's very, very clear. T and I were just talking about it yesterday. The decisions that you are making right now, both positive and negative, are impacting your next 20 years. I was thinking about 22 years ago when my father not made me, but challenged me to go to master's commission. And he, everyone had a different story about how they got to master's. For me, that was my punishment. My parents were like, Doug, you're going. And they kind of rolled out the red carpet for me to be there because they knew that was best for me. Other people like you, or others went against their parents' will. It was just like, if you want to go, you got to get yourself there. For me, it was my punishment because I had been screwing around at home. And they're like, the master's commission would help me. And I went to master's, and I had just met you, Ro, and I think you came in my apartment, and y'all got some cheese.
Perfect experience.
And I was like, dude, this is out of my comfort zone. And and I was just like, dude, I ain't seen people like this. These people ain't from Oregon. And and we got a lot of stories on that. It's like,
yeah, we do.
You and I are nothing alike. We have different upbringings, and it automatically got uncomfortable for me. And I wanted to go home, and I almost went home, and I almost quit. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll go home and face my punishment at home. But I'm thinking, I stayed, and I pushed through hard.
Yeah.
And now today, you and I wouldn't be here. First of all, you wrote all the cover songs for my whole podcast. You were on tour with me. Yeah. I met my wife at Master's Commission, Tia. Some of my best friends today was because of a decision that I stayed committed to, even when it got hard. I was talking with a good pastor friend, Greg, yesterday about purity and legacy. And I'm like, man, if I was to mess up in my marriage, I'm not just messing up the talk and the walk between T and I'm affecting my girls. I'm affecting the next generation because they're going to have to continue to learn that. And because it's not the decision, of screwing around on your wife doesn't affect just T and I. It affects 2 to 3 more generations. So when I talk in the book about being a chain breaker, like I would be giving more crap for my kids to deal with of fear and hurt and fear of that happening to them. And so the decisions that we're making today is not just affecting us. It's affecting these next generations. And so I have learned more than anything lately that how important it is to press in and do hard things when it's not easy, when the world, when social media, when even lawmakers are saying it's okay. It's okay to do X. No, everything has consequences. And you might not pay the price today, but your future, the people you love the most will have to pay the price because of your, stupid decisions sometimes. And so I just believe every single decision we make, especially big ones, we come up against forks in the road, and it's so easy to take the path of least resistance. But where reward is choosing the path that is less traveled, and that sometimes is not as easy and looks bumpy. But the reward is so great, bro. The reward is so great.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's a good answer. Wow. I never even processed like that. I've been processing like lately. I've been having this vision of ripples, like throwing a rock in a river and a ripple effect, and realizing how a ripple we're pretty much, you're saying what I'm thinking, like a ripple has so many effects that we don't even know what the decisions that we make today, how they affect the future. And if you had left, man, we wouldn't have this conversation for sure.
And I'm thinking, bro, because we all leave a positive ripple on the people around us. Yeah. And I'm thinking, if I would have bailed, how many other lives that I've been able to be a blessing, because we're a blessing to everyone around us. Mm-hmm. How many lives would I have held up for the kingdom? Mm-hmm. How many lives and marriages or breakthrough in their health would I have held up by me saying no to something that was totally selfish driven because the going got tough and it got hard. Wow. So, man, if you're out there listening right now, I just feel like this is for someone, because we're at January. What are we at? The 12th today?
Yes.
Dude, we're at the 12th, guys. This is January 12th, the week of January, the second week to third week of January are where most people actually start breaking down, because there were some new commitments made to yourself on December 31st. Starting in the new year, I'm not going to do, and you made some commitments to yourself. Some of you are on the edge of you've been sober for 12 days. Some of you have committed to reading your Bible for every single day, and around January 12th, it's like, some of you have made the commitment to no sugar, and it's January 12th, and it's getting harder and harder. Some of us have made the commitment and recommitment to our health of working out every single day, and it's like, it's getting tough. Some of you have made the commitment to your purity and what your eyes will see and what won't see in January 12th, and it's like, how much longer? But you're on the edge of something massive if you just stick with it. And it was really cool. Ro, Pastor Rowdy.
Yeah.
You go to the church here in Scottsdale, man. He gave a phenomenal message on Sunday. And he talked about shutting the door. Don't even leave the door cracked open just a little bit, because if you leave the door cracked open for compromise, it will literally just get blown right back open. And I think January 12th is a key time for us and anybody watching and everybody to like recommit to the commitment and shut the door if something has started to kind of crack back open already in 12 days, because we're in the process of actually experiencing breakthrough over the next 21 to 30 days. And we're so close, but the closer you get, sometimes it can be like, man, I've been doing so good, and we start to compromise and we start to open that door back up. And we know how we felt in December. We know how we felt, whatever it was, costed us in 2020. And I think this is a key time, Ro, that we gotta there's a lot of forces at play in the world right now, and we have got to do our parts, because we can't control the world or the government or political stuff, but we can control us in our homes.
Yeah. Wow. That's so good. That's so good, man. The chat is going crazy right now. People are just loving it. And this is good stuff for a Tuesday morning. I tell you right now. Good stuff. Good preaching for a Tuesday morning, Doug. Were you expecting the kind of results that you were getting from? I feel like this book was a catalyst for you, and it like ignited something in you. Actually, before I want to say that, I want to before I ask that question, I want to something charged in my head. I remember something that Tia said. I don't know if she said it directly to me, but I've heard her say it several times before. She said that she had a conversation with you. I believe it was 2011. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. 2011, you guys had a conversation, and you guys said, if we need to do this, get your stuff together, getting in program, getting your health in order, getting your finances order, because it will help so many other people. Like, you guys made that decision. I remember, you can clear it up for me, but was a conversation. And that takes me back, when you're talking right now, it takes me back to that thought process of, and I always think about that. I literally always think about the time where you and Tia talked together at the beginning of the year. I believe it was 2011. You can correct me.
Yeah, that's right. It was.
And she was saying, hey, if we don't get this thing together now, how many other people are going to be affected by this?
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. And now I'm hearing it 10 years later. Wow, 10 years later, and seeing, wow, what an effect you guys have had. And you guys have walked through so many different things. And I've seen not everything, but I've seen a handful of the stuff that you guys have experienced, and I'm just floored. And it's amazing to hear it now.
Yeah.
On the back end is awesome.
Well, it was. She looked at me in January 1 of 2011. She said, Doug, if we don't get out of our own way and quit, I didn't even think she could have said effing around. If we don't quit effing around with our health, with our family, with our income, with our debt, we're not only holding ourselves and our girls up, but we're holding up thousands of people from their breakthrough, because I believe us taking a stand has ripple effects. Yeah. And she said, what if we got obsessed for 90 days and had zero compromise in our life? Yeah. Zero compromise. You know, when your wife looks at you and they're serious, I'm like, dang, she might be on something here.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And we did. And that's all it took was 90 days of zero compromise. And I'm living in the blessing today from 90 days of zero compromise. And guess what, friends? It didn't have to start on January 1st. It can start on January 13th.
Yeah.
It can start at any time from when you make a decision. My friend Coach Burt says, when you make a decision means to kill off of old. You make a decision, it means to kill off of old and commit to new.
Yeah.
And it's all it takes.
Yeah.
And half the time it's, what the world wants to do now is, I say the world, we, all of us, we need to go announce it on Facebook. No, why don't you shut up and actually just do the do for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get some wins under your belt, go ahead and talk about it publicly. But stop announcing your next move and just live it. Do it. There's plenty of gurus out there that aren't living it, but they're posting about it. Right? And it's like let the knuckleheads that have went out and bought followers tell you how to live your life, which they ain't living, by the way. Because anytime you want to know how many followers someone has bought, you go and quickly click on their last couple of posts. And if they got 10,000 or 20,000 followers, but they got 17 likes,
they bought those followers.
Because I'm like, I've hustled for my 6,300 followers on Facebook. On Instagram. I've hustled for them. And I worked my butt off for 100 likes, 130 authentic relationships that I've built and people that I've influenced. And I've helped a lot of people. And so I'm like, okay, I know the influence I've had with people, which I wish was a lot more. And I've got 6,300 followers. I'm like, don't tell me these people out here who are buying followers. It's like, no, it looks cute. I guess if that's what people are attracted to. And someone told me one time, like, well, Doug, people will take you more serious if you had 60,000 instead of 6,000. Well, I said, I guess those aren't my people. Yeah. I'm not trying to get 60,000 followers that are bots, bogus stuff out there. I said, I'm trying to influence the one. Bro, that's how we change the world. We change our world, then we change our family's world, and we change our churches and our community's world. And soon we will change the world. If we can control and empower our world, all of us have 200 people that we have influence with. And you're doing it right now. You're influencing your 2 to 300. But if we influence our 2 to 300, we will then reach the 2 to 300,000 and then the 2 to 3 million. And then all of us together reaching our 200 will change the world. And I know it's going to happen. I don't know what the change is going to look like. And it may not be, it probably won't be in our lifetime, whether the good Lord comes back or our kids have to finish and continue this business. But yeah, man, that's where I'm focused at.
That's awesome. Were you expecting this kind of result with your book? Were you expecting the close to 15,000? Was this something that you expected, or was it like I'll sell a couple thousand and share it a couple of times with people and then just kind of be on the back burner? Were you expecting it to go Spanish? Were you expecting it to almost hit the bestseller list? Because that was amazing. Was this stuff that you expected, or was it shocking?
There's a little bit of a pride in me that wanted to be a bestseller because I know the world. If I could stamp Wall Street Journal bestseller across the top of it, more people will take a second look at it. And I'm like, maybe they'll open it up and it'll bless their life. So there's a little bit of an internal identity of, wow, that'd be really cool. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I didn't care too much. There was a time, and I think I told you on tour, I won't be pleased with this book until it's in the airports.
Yeah.
There are things that looking back, I could have done differently. I want to go about it a very organic way. We all know in life, it's not good to judge a book by its cover, but we all do. And so I figured I would write a book with the title Church Boy to Millionaire, and I would give someone something to judge. And either if they're open and they're curious, they're going to open it up and they're going to actually see that the book has very little to do with money, and how to make money has everything to do with where you came from, your mindset around money, and the things that are holding you up. Because abundance and being a millionaire has nothing to do with what's in your bank account. It's all how you see it. It's all how you push your Target cart back to the corral versus leaving it in the parking lot. I mean, if you can't walk into Taco Bell and pay for a drink that you fill up at the counter that you paid $2 for versus ordering a water cup and going over there and sneaking in Sprite, you got bigger problems. Don't worry, you'll never be a millionaire because you're trying to steal $1.09 soda. Like you don't have money problems, you have mindset problems. And so I had some offers to get the book on like even TBN and some Christian networks shows that some people were like, it might offend, but it might appeal to this audience. And I was like, I'm not pursuing that audience because I made some assumptions that those people would be closed off. And I'm like, I want this to be more of a neutral entrepreneurial book. And it is, but it also does speak to the faith community. But I've had many people that are, have nothing to do with my background, of being a follower of Christ. They've been blessed by this book, regardless of what they believe, because it's a very neutral book, but you can apply, eat the fish, spit out the bones with any book. And so I'm pleased with where it's gone. I think Spanish, when I got the offer for someone to translate it, I was like, wow, I actually see where this is now going. I think I might have some more runs in it, and it's a timeless book. It doesn't apply to a certain season. It's a timeless book that I believe may catch steam as it gets translated into other languages, and even where it goes here in Latin America. But yeah, there's always things that I wish I would have done differently, but that's life. We're going to learn, and we're not going to make excuses for it, but we're going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get better, and I'm going to do it different next time.
Yeah. It's you want to change the trajectory of your life, you got to get this book. And I'm telling you, it's going to mess your head up. It's been 2 years since I first read the book, and only people who read the book is going to understand my next statement. I've been wiping toilet seats down for 2 years now. No lie, Doug, I wipe every toilet seat down now. I caught myself just the other day at Walmart taking the car. I parked so far from Walmart because everybody's at Walmart, because in California there's no place to go but Walmart.
Right.
I had to I walked the car all the way back, and now it's second nature. I didn't even process why I got to take it all the way back. I had to walk it all the way back. So make sure you get it. This came out in April 2018. 19, yes, 19. And then I remember the tour was May of 2019.
That's right.
25 cities, just for the massive momentum. The tour was massive momentum. Yeah. To some people ask so many questions, so just to get the questions off my back, I tell them, "Oh, it was a book tour," but truly, it really wasn't a book tour.
Yeah,
but it was 25 cities, massive momentum events, and 13 weeks. I was with you for 9 of those.
Yeah,
and I served on any level that I can be part of. I think twice people thought I was your bodyguard, and but talk to me a little bit about the process behind the tour. What was some of the things you enjoyed about the tour? What was something you didn't enjoy about the tour? What was the tour like for you?
Well, if anyone wants to watch a really educational documentary, we had the whole thing filmed, and Rose in it. He's a key star of the documentary. It's called the Massive Momentum Tour documentary. It's on YouTube. You can also find it in my profile on Instagram, The Real Doug Wood. But it's a great 2-hour educational documentary.
It's also on HPTV if you're watching this on TV right now.
Yeah. So what was it like? Man, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I thought I want to go out and just serve and meet people on their turf. And we did. We spoke between 150 and sometimes some events were 500 to 700 people a night. And throughout the summer, we reached over 15,000 people. And it was amazing. It was really cool, bro. And but it was a grind. It was hard. There were so many things I would do differently. But what was interesting, the biggest thing I learned was no matter what part of the country someone lives in, most people are struggling with the same 3 to 4 things, but everyone thinks they're the only one. And so we go around to these cities, and we would talk about the real stuff. Like we were talking about crap we all go through on day to day. Like these weren't like polished Doug and Tia talks that we get up there and give our little spirit finger message and go up and down the West Coast. We're like
one got real fast.
We went in there and got real. We had a different message. Sometimes we didn't know where the nights were going to go, and we just kind of would feel the need. We let the spirit lead for the evening. It was a 3-hour event. And man, people would get up and share, and we'd do live coaching in front of everybody. But at the end, everyone would come through the book line and want me to sign their book or get a photo or something. It was really cool. And people would whisper little things in my ear, bro. And you were around for some of that. people would be like, man, nobody knows this, but I'm struggling, me and my spouse, nobody knows, but we're contemplating divorce, and it's just been really hard. And hey, nobody knows this, but we're facing bankruptcy, and we're dealing with a lawsuit, and nobody knows, but I'm struggling with pornography. And like, everyone's just like, nobody knows. I know I'm the only one, but would you pray for me? Because, and it was interesting. Every other person was whispering something in our ear. It was weird. It wasn't like set up to be confession time. It was just people felt really trusted to tell us the stuff and just ask for prayer. And I'm like, man, thank you. And what was interesting, out of, an event where there's 300 to 400 people there, and let's just say 50 of them told us something, me or my wife in private, we'd go back and me and my wife would talk about the 50 people that did say something, which everyone was feeling something, was all dealing with the same 3 to 4 to 5 things. And it's just so interesting how no matter what part of the country, more people are actually struggling through with the same 3 to 4 things. But I'm like, of course, you can't talk about that stuff, right? It's like taboo subjects. No, it's called real subjects. And it's 2021. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of depression. There's a lot of isolation. There's a lot of people feeling like suicide might be the only way out. There's a lot of isolation. There's a lot of depression. There's a lot of misuse of the internet and where it's taking us. There's a lot of and so it's just like we all have this stuff, but we're all more alike than different. And what happened, Rose, it started shaping how the tour went and some of our conversations. And so that's a fascinating documentary. And I don't plug it because it doesn't. You watching the doc, anybody watching this doesn't make me money. I don't get YouTube hits. Okay, it's not that big, but it is pretty interesting to see what kind of took place in 90 days as we reached 15,000 people.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. I remember one of the nights was because you were talking about how they come to you and they whisper in your ear. There was one night, I believe it was in Atlanta. It was public. Yeah. Like people were really brave, and they were standing up and saying, "This is my last day looking at porn." Mm-hmm. I remember a man got in there and he was like, "We just came back from." I think he just came back from the lawyer's office. Yeah. Came from the lawyer's office to the event, and so we were getting a divorce. Yeah. And I'm gonna fight this thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same night, and I thought that was like I remember. I think that was Atlanta, and I was just floored. Yeah. Of all that. And I will say this too, and I tell my team this all the time, Doug, that tour, along with a lot of other things that happened in 2019, but that tour was a catalyst for the Heritage Park brand, because I believe I learned so much just by being on tour. And I was generally quiet most of the time because I was driving the RV, and I enjoyed that. I just want to tell you, if you're going to do another tour, you need me to come, I got you. Because that was so therapeutic for me.
But the only tour I'm doing is the hangar tour, and I don't think it's going to be okay to do it. But we're gonna do it differently, and we're gonna fly in, and we're gonna jam thousands of people in a hangar.
Yeah,
we're gonna speak. We're gonna love on them. We're gonna empower them. We're gonna coach them up,
and then leave.
You and I are gonna get back on the jet and sleep in our bed that night. The RV, man, RV life.
Especially when we were getting trapped in there. That was hilarious. When we started getting trapped in the RV and we couldn't get out. That was exciting. Yeah. But what I was telling you was there was things I learned that year in that tour that if I didn't learn those lessons, 2020 would have kicked my ass.
Yeah.
It just would have. Yeah. And that goes back to the Ripple thing. Like if I wasn't obedient to the process and learn. Like I remember coming back and the first thing I said to myself was, I need to get my money straight. Mm-hmm. I need to get my money working for me. I need to figure out how to do this thing. I need to figure this out. I need to figure that out. And when the world shut down last year, it was almost as if nothing happened to me. Stuff happened, but it was like I wasn't affected like everyone else. And I actually I thank God for that opportunity, because I think for many people, the Massive Momentum Tour helped them get through 2020. If they practice and they use the stuff that they learned in that time. People online are calling it, what's it called? It's basically the Massive Momentum documentary.
Yep.
Massive Momentum documentary.
That's on our YouTube channel. Yeah. It's also in the link on my profile of my Instagram. If there's a link that'll take you right to it, there's a bit.ly link, it'll take you right to the documentary.
And they corrected my language because I said kick my ass, but it did kick my ass. It didn't kick my butt, kick my ass. Anyways, bro, that was awesome. The hangar tour. I'm done with the hangar tour. You probably don't want me driving on that one, but I definitely would go on that one with you.
All right, I know you
will. So real quick, we have like 10 minutes left. We have 10 minutes left in our show, man. It was so good. There's so many other questions I can ask, but let's just do some lighthearted questions real quick. Let's do our little lightning interview questions through our pod deck. And so these are also stuff that I think you would love. And it doesn't have to be fast. You don't have to answer them fast. You can answer them quick. You don't have to answer them fast. You can take your time if you want to. What characteristic do you feel like you're known most for?
Probably being passionate and obsessed. If people see me in public or speaking, they think I'm this crazy intense dude, which I am.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not speaking, I'm the same dude. I'm actually just very chill. I'm very easygoing. I'm probably this is going to sound boastful, I'm probably one of the funnest guys just to hang out with, because people are thinking like, they got to be on if they're with me all the time. Like, I like to chill as much as I like to be on purpose and focus too. So I love one-on-ones and sitting around in a group here at the house and the property and just BSing and talking about high level things. But I'm not as intense as most people think 24/7. But I do turn it on and I go there when I feel like, something's important that we need to be serious about. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Somebody asked me one time, they were like, somebody came up to me and said, "So you've known Doug for a while?" I said, "Yeah, I've known him for about 20 years now." And he goes, "Man, is he like this like all the time?" I was like, "He's not fiery all the time, but he's fun all the time." And he asked me to tell him an interesting story, a fun story. And the story that came to my head was when you cut my hair for Nina's wedding.
So, okay, I'll say that real quick. So, Ro, I used to cut my own hair. Actually, I still do. I do my own fades on the side. I'm thinking, okay, I learned how. So we're in college here. He's like, "Man, I couldn't get in for anyone to do my lines." And I'm thinking my lines are like, around my ear. And I'm like, "Oh, Ro, I got you, dude. I do my own lines." He's like, "You ever done black people's lines before?" I'm like, "No, but it's the same thing. Sit down." The old thing around you. And I realized when we got up into here, I was in trouble. I had never done that before. And Ro looked like he had a helmet on his head, because I was back here going across the middle, and it was like a keep on the back. I'm so sorry, Ro. Like I jacked you up.
It's funny now, but if you ever go and look at Nina's wedding pictures, if they ever see it, the first thing I notice is that hair, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's the time I cut my hair."
It was bad, and I was trying to tell you, no, it looks good, but it was bad. I haven't touched another black person's hair ever since.
That's awesome, though. Great story, though. All right, so who are your heroes in real life? Who are some of your real life heroes?
I don't do well at placing people as heroes and pedestals, because I know we're all human. But anyone that I see speaking publicly, that will also talk about their flaws on stage or on Facebook Live or on their podcast, where they tell me the humanistic side of them. Mm-hmm. That is, I screwed up the other day, and here's what I learned from it. Those are the people I respect the most. There's a lot of people I learn from, and respect day in and day out through the things that they write or the things that they say. But many of those same people that I do learn from don't tell the whole story. And that is sometimes I'm over being disappointed. But I have accomplished a lot in my life. And a lot of people even say, "I want your life." And I'm like, "No, you don't want my life." Because they're assuming that money or, status, they'll have everything that they need. And no, don't get me wrong, money makes a big difference, and it makes life a lot easier. But I'm still deal with a lot of stuff in my life, in my marriage, in my thought life, in what I'm pursuing, of getting up every single day, working on my health. Gosh, it's been, for whatever reason, the last 6 months of 2020 was not my best physically. And I'm 11 years into this process, and I still battle every single day to make my health a priority. And some days I win, and some days I'm just like, I freaking suck. But I'm willing to talk about it. So those are the type of things that, that's who my heroes are, is anyone who's willing to be real and authentic about any part of their life, because I know that those are the people you can trust the most.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about you is you share those things too. And yeah, that's huge for me too. It's huge for me too. What do you value most in your friends?
Me being able to not be judged, a lack of judgment, because I have some very good friends, and you're one of them. But you've seen me on stage, and you've seen me in the bus at 2 a.m. Tired, frustrated, and I can say anything to you, and you know, not anything, but meaning like I can be me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to always be the same person, but you may see me at my best, and you see me at my worst. And it's just like, I can totally be myself with you. And there's no judgment. And also there's not that place of, it's like reciprocal, I don't have to have my friends that are, we've all accomplished the same things in life. I actually value our indifferences, because there's so much that I learned from you, Ro. There's so much that I learned from different friends, that it's just important to keep variety. But more than anything, it's that trust and being able to be your 100% self, and that know that every conversation is also sacred and safe. Yeah.
That's awesome. Last question. This is an important one.
Done.
Oh, yeah. If you could send a message to the entire world, what would you say in 30 seconds?
Well, you can't. It get blocked. It get deleted.
It get deleted. You'll get suspended quick.
If it was an if question, so yeah. I'll give you that. Let's focus more on what we value versus what each and every one of us believe. Because right now we're in a biggest season of people's beliefs, and being right is more important than standing for what's right. And coming together on what we value versus what we each individually have indifferences and beliefs on. So yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough season we're all in. So that's the best thing that we can do. And that's what I'm spending so much time right now. I'm praying for President Trump. So thankful for the last, few years that he's served our country. And I'm praying so much for President Biden right now, as he comes and he brings in his new staff, that God would just give him wisdom to lead our nation in the best way possible. So I'm just so thankful for two presidents that couldn't be any more different, but the strength and the what they brought to us, what President Trump and his team has, and now what President Biden and Ms. Harris is going to bring and take our country in a new direction. But I pray it's a godly direction. And so I'm just praying for strength and unity and healing amongst our whole country, because I'm very, very grateful for the country we do live in.
Awesome. That was great. Great way to end the show. Church Boy to Millionaire. You have to get it, man. Buy a couple copies. They can get it at kickfearintheface.com. Is that right, Doug?
Yeah. So if you order, you can get the book on Amazon. But if you want me to either sign it, if they're ordered on kickfearintheface.com, I sign it because it's shipped out of Scottsdale.
Okay.
And then also on kickfearintheface.com, you can get the Spanish version right now too. And it can be shipped wherever you want. I'm happy to sign it as well. So thanks, Ro. This has been fun, man.
It's been great. I know you have a very busy schedule, and I was so excited that you said you would do the show with me. And forgive me for not asking you a while ago. I'm just gonna be honest. I just assumed you're too busy to do the show, which is my fault. And but I appreciate you doing this with me today. The chat line is full of people just saying thank you, and you shared so much wisdom and so much value to people's lives. So thanks for having coffee with me, man. I appreciate it. We got to definitely do it again.
Yes, sir. I'm glad we did it. God bless everybody. Thanks, bro.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and hit the thumbs up. And we'll see you next week on But First Coffee. All right. God bless.